Okay.
All right, and we're back. Kind of.
Were we ever here? I don't know.
Yeah, we were never here. You're right. As far as that goes, we were just never here. I don't know what was going on. That's just crazy. Something odd's been happening tonight. This whole uh, technology thing has just been unbelievable tonight. So I don't know what's going
Yes.
on. I'm trying to see if we're showing up live. That scares me. I probably shouldn't look because I'm afraid if I do and we're not,
I
I'm
think
gonna.
I see it on my phone. I'm trying to make sure that we're up too.
Yeah, there
Trying
it
to
is.
share it
Yeah,
on
we
my
are.
page. So
We are. I can see it now. All right, so I've got Hannah Belle with me tonight, and I apologize because technology has not been my friend tonight, and we had a little issue getting on earlier, and then had another issue, and we were 10 minutes into the live. I mean, Hannah just going at it,
I don't
and
know
I'm
if I
like,
can repeat all of
yeah,
that.
I'm like, we're gonna have to stop. It ain't working. I've never had this issue before, but I've got Hannah Belle with me, and again, Hannah, let's just start back over. Tell me about how you got into music, where things started up at.
Sure. Well, it started early for me. My dad is a Baptist preacher, and he always had a stage that was available for me and our family band. Had my brother, my sister alongside my dad. He played guitar. My sister played keys, and my brother played bass. And I sang along and had a little red tambourine, which I still bring out on stage sometimes, and sang my little heart out and loved every minute of it. They'd have to like pull me off the stage. Okay, Hannah, your time's up. But we traveled from church to church and did fish fries and local festivals and whatnot, and I just fell in love with singing. It was in my DNA. My dad, he was a singer. He had a rock band back in the 60s. He was one of those cool cats, you know. And I say I was born to sing. It was just in my DNA.
Right. Well, and it's cool, like I said, that you've got it's kind of a family thing, and that's always neat because that gives you something that really is special for for you and the family. I mean, you've got that connection. And
Yeah,
if I'm
it's
saying a little
definitely
scatterbrained, I'm sitting here going, "What is going to go wrong next?"
nothing. We're in the
Yeah,
clear. We are
we
good now.
we've got it now. We are good. So, when you first decided I want to chase a country music dream, what got you to that point? What got you to saying this is absolutely what I want to do?
Well, I was a big fan of Faith Hill growing up, and being from Mississippi, she was also from Mississippi, and it was
Mhm.
kind of like, well, if she can do it, I can do it, you know. And it was just this thing that I loved to sing. I was your average kid that was outside playing in the yard, but I also had a karaoke machine hooked up in my bedroom that I spent hours and hours on. And it was just a love. It really was a true love. And just like we talked about family, my parents supported me and got me piano lessons, things like that as I was growing up. And they just saw how much I really loved to sing. And it started out with just singing. But once I
Right.
got into college, something that I'd prayed for a long time was the ability to write songs. And my first song came to me when I was in college. And from
Mhm.
there, um, when I started the songwriting process and crafting my songs, that's when we decided, hey, this is something real here. Not only is it the singing part, now it's the writing the songs and sharing the message through song. And that's when my parents kind of approached me where they were like, "You want to do this thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to do this thing." And so
Oh,
they were
wow.
like, "All right, well, we're in." And so that's kind of how it all began.
So mom and dad were completely behind you, no questions asked. Just if this is what you want to do, we're going to jump in there full feet, both feet first, and go for it, huh?
100% and still are today. They've not given up on me yet.
Now you mentioned faith as being one of your influences. Who are some of the other influences that you had growing up and even getting into the music side of things?
Yeah, musical influences. Creedence Clearwater Revival, man. I was rocking
Yeah.
out to that early. That was one of my dad's favorite bands, and we'd listen to them a lot. I listened to a lot of Alan Jackson. I think I learned how to harmonize to Alan Jackson's cassette tapes because anytime I was riding in the truck with my daddy, that's what we were listening to. And all those 90s country, Shania, Faye, Terry Clark, Patty Loveless. Oh my gosh, I loved them all. And still do. Even the 90s country band like Black Hawk, Sawyer Brown, Diamond Rio. You could say all of those had a way of inspiring me, and they still do today. I like to write songs that have that 90s country feel because it was the best genre in my opinion. And I still I wish I had grown up, been a country singer during that time.
Well, and I tell you, just listening to your music, you definitely have that 90s feel. And that's always, for me, I'm like you. The 90s country was just, that was it. That was the
Yeah.
thing. That's what I wanted to get into as far as I've never been an artist. I sing in the shower. That's as far as it goes. But, and they don't have that nowadays on American Idol and The Voice, unfortunately. If they did, I might try out.
Yeah. Let me get a mic in there and just record.
Right. American Idol, the shower sessions.
Love it.
So you're going through with the 90s country and stuff like that. And you mentioned some great, some folks that a lot of people don't mention. Patty Loveless was one, Black Hawk,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, those are and as big as Patty was in the 90s and even Black Hawk, people forget about them. Now, Sawyer Brown, they'll talk about Brooks and Dunn, those guys. So you have a very expanded palette, if you will, of your 90s country favorites. That I think is really
for
cool.
sure. For sure. I love them all, but those were just some favorites to name a few.
Well, now let's move ahead to writing your own songs because you said that came in college. You just wanted to write one day and you sat down and started writing. What was that first song and where did the inspiration come from? What got you going? Because and reading about you and learning some things about you, it said that came pretty quick.
Yeah, I had tried to write songs before. When I was growing up, through high school and everything, I sang at all the events that you could sing at, but I was always singing cover songs. And I just wanted to write, and I tried, and it was just really terrible. Anything that I put down on paper was really corny, really bad. It was not good at all. And so I prayed about it, and I prayed about it hard. And I was in college, and I was a music minor for a very short period of time. And they had a lot of practice rooms that you could just go in, and there was a piano in there. And I loved to go in and just play the piano. And I remember sitting down at that piano one day and just started chording out something. And then words just started flowing from my mouth. And I was like, wait a second. This is a song. And it was actually a Christian song. I guess if you wanted to classify it, it was a Christian contemporary song. It was called Refuge. And it was the very first song that I ever wrote completely solo. And I wouldn't say it's the greatest song, but it was a song. And it was my heart at that time. And from there, I just built on. But I can't say that I built on all alone because I had my sister she's a little bit older than me. She and I are very similar people, but I had her, and she and I put our heads together and wrote some really cool songs. And of course, my dad supported me too in the songwriting process. So it wasn't just me by myself. I've grown a lot since that first song, but I had some help for sure.
Well, that's awesome. Just a quick note, Malcolm from Mississippi says hello. So,
hey, Mississippi hometown. That's what I like to say. How you doing, Malcolm?
Now you're from a small, it says a small place in Mississippi. Does that mean it's smaller than a town and even maybe a village? It's called Red Lick, Mississippi.
It's a dot on the map. I promise you. My mom lives there. My mom and dad, brother, sister, and that's about it. Yeah, I don't think you would even consider it a town. It's between two towns. It does have a really cool famous fried chicken place. It made what is that? The Food Network for best thing you ever had. So that's our claim to fame. That was actually in Lorman, though. I guess you could say that was the town closest to Red Lake, but we'll claim it. But yeah, it's country. Country is a dirt club for sure.
all the roads are still gravel except for the main highway going around the town kind of
Yeah, you got
thing?
to get off of the road because the gravel road's so bad, you
Oh my
know?
god. That's small. That is really
Yeah, that's small. It is. But it was great
so
up there.
so what was it like? I mean, growing up in a place like that and I mean, your friends, were they into the same music you were into, I
Um,
guess I should say?
Not necessarily. I was a big country fan, and I did listen to other genres and tried to dive off into that. But for the most part, the people that I did hang out with, they supported what I was doing. And growing up in Red
Mhm.
Lick, we always invited them out to the pasture. Come on, hang
Mhm.
out, we'll listen to music and have a bonfire and all that kind of stuff. But I was hardcore country. I tried to listen to other stuff, and my friends would get in the car. I'd turn on the cool stuff at the time, But I was always the one that was coming back to those country roots. But don't let me fool you. I was a
Right.
huge NSYNC fan. Huge NSYNC.
Okay. All right. I started to say you were kind of one of those that was country when country wasn't cool, and then you mentioned NSYNC, but that's
Sorry,
okay.
I had to go there. I had
We'll let that
I love
slide.
those boys.
We'll let that slide. So, with your writing, I mean, here you are, you're in college, you're writing music. What influence did you have in your writing style?
I don't guess that you could say I had an influence in my writing style. It was truly what came out. And
Mhm.
if I were to give an influence or to credit an influence, you're going to hear me say this a million times. It was 90s country. That's just what
Right,
came out of me. And so I wasn't necessarily listening to someone at that time and saying, oh, let me craft like this person.
right,
I was writing what came out and what felt right and what was natural to me. And that's where we got my whole first album, Chasing Thunder. It just
mhm,
is what came out and what felt right.
right. And with you saying that, Chasing Thunder, there was some you I read a quote that you said that was pretty much summing up where you were at that point in your life.
Mhm.
What connection did that have with the album title, I guess is the best question.
A huge connection because that song, Chasing Thunder, it was written after our little dog Bo Duke, who was a bad little half Jack Russell, half rat terrier, and he chased thunder. Anytime it thundered, he was running in whatever direction. And we thought he was the craziest little thing. But my sister and I sat down one day, and that title just kind of came to us about you couldn't tell Bo, oh, Bo, you're never going to get that thunder. He thought he was going to get the thunder and show the thunder. It was boss. And he just continued to run and run and run and chase. He even got our Australian Shepherd hooked on chasing thunder. Who knows? But it kind of just summed up what I was trying to do at that point in time. There's a million girls that are chasing this dream of becoming a country music artist. And people say, oh, it'll never happen. You're small fish in a big pond.
Right.
But I believe that with God, all things are possible, and He'll give you the desires of your heart if it's His will. And so, even if it is like chasing thunder, something that might seem impossible, I'm going to continue to do it. And so, it kind of just made that full circle, that full connection of where I was and what I was after. Still am today.
Right, right. And you now you had another album that came out after that one, after Chasing Thunder. And what would you say out of those two albums? And we'll even talk about the newest stuff that you got out as well. But I'm going to ask you this question posed on those two albums there.
Uh-huh.
What song on those two albums is your favorite one to play in a live show?
Out of those two albums, I would have to say probably Preacher's Daughter.
Okay.
Preacher's Daughter is it's that title album of the second one that you were talking about.
Right.
And we start that song out with my lead guitar player playing a slide version of Amazing Grace. And then we just jam. And it is so fun. We just have a great time jamming out on that song. It is rocking, and it's an autobiographical song. So it is
Right.
just a ton of fun to play on stage. People love it, and they sing along to it, and we rock out. It is just so much fun.
So as you're going through and you're talking about live shows and things like that, what's some of the places that you've played? I mean, has it been primarily colleges or local taverns or bars or things
Yeah.
like that?
I'm a big state fair fan. I love the
Mhm.
fairs and the festivals. I've had the opportunity to play at Mississippi State Fair, Louisiana State Fair, Texas State, South State Texas State Fair, because they have it's so big. They have so many state fairs in Texas. I've had a lot of fun at different festivals throughout the states and mostly in the Southeast region. But there's a lot of venues that I've got to play in Nashville and here close to home that I've
Mhm.
really enjoyed. One of my favorites being the Listening Room in Nashville. Killer
Wow.
venue. Love that place. And then here, I live in South Louisiana these days, and there's one that's right down the road. It's called the Lobby Lounge. It's one of the neatest venues and super cool vibe. I love that place. I'll be back there in July. And then one of my old hometown favorites is called the Arcade Theater, and it's a theater in Faraday, Louisiana, which is close. I won't say right next door to Red Lick, but close to Red Lick. It's kind of like my hometown theater where I like to go back and have my hometown shows at. And it's a
Okay.
really cool place. The likes of Jerry Lee Lewis and Mickey Gilley have played there. And so it's kind of a neat place to play.
Right. Well, it sounds like it'd be a fun place too.
Yeah.
Now, you've kind of, gone through and you're getting your feet up under you and um seems like things are going really well at one point. I mean, here you are, you've let me grab my notes here so I make sure I've got this right.
Sure.
But you had uh Catch Her If You Can, you had Preacher's Daughter, and then you were chosen as the CMA Emerging Artist for 2013 through 2017.
hmm
Now, when you got that news, what was the first thought that went through your mind?
The first thought that went through my mind was, oh my goodness, Faith Hill went to Fanfare X, and I met her in the 90s, and she was doing what I'm going to do. So I was like, this is really cool. She even kissed my brother on the cheek back when it was called
Oh,
Fanfare and everything. And that was the first thing I thought was, oh, I'm going to have a booth and I'm going to get to meet people just like Faith Hill did.
that is
It was
something.
just like that. It was so much fun meeting all the people from all around the world, really. You can't just say the United
Right.
States, the world. It's tiring as I don't know what because you're on your feet smiling, autographing, and then you go play somewhere. But it is so much fun. And the friendships that you make along the way. And just the fact that you can say there's a ton of us out there and CMA's chosen me. They've allowed me to have a booth at their place. It's a
Wow.
big honor and something that I cherish greatly.
So when you do something like that, how many hours? Because you've got performances probably figured into your time in your day, but how many hours were you spending in a booth to see people and to meet people in these meet and greets? And with Fanfare X, let me explain it to folks that may not know, and I'm sure most do. CMA Fest, of course, is a huge festival they have in Nashville every year, and unfortunately, COVID kind of kicked that out last year, and I haven't heard this year what's going to happen. But then they have of course, CMA Fest. They have stages all over town. They play at Nissan Stadium. They have stages up and down every street in Spring. I mean, in Nashville.
Yeah.
And so all artists are then allowed to go to Fanfare X, which they have at the Music City Center, a big conference building that they have there, a big auditorium that they have there, and set up booths, and you can go in and meet them and get autographs and pictures and all that fun stuff. So, how long of a day did you normally have being there for that?
So usually it was from, I think doors opened around 9 o'clock and I believe they closed around 5. And that was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Now that
Mm,
doesn't mention setting up on Wednesday and all that kind of stuff. But I am one of those people that at that point in time, I'm a newcomer. People are getting to know me. So
Right.
I stayed at my booth almost the entire time because it
Wow.
was like as soon as I would leave, a new person would come up and be like, "Oh, well, where's she at? We wanted to meet her." And it seemed like every time that I would go have a break or something, my dad would be going, "You got somebody at your booth. You better come back." So no rest. So literally from 9 till 5, with maybe if we had to go play somewhere in between, or if I wanted to go grab a quick bite, it's intense, and you're all dressed up, so you got your
Right.
not comfortable shoes on. And it's the best though. You are worn slap out afterwards, but it is a truly great experience. It really is.
It sounds like one you wouldn't trade for anything, pretty
No,
much. It sounds like a lot of fun. Now, with that, you've shared the stage with a lot of people, and I'm sitting here reading down through Sawyer Brown, Frankie Ballard, Diamond Rio, Bucky Covington, T. Graham Brown, Joel Sonnier. I love him, just absolutely love him. Shenandoah, Joe Diffie, Josh Thompson. I mean, and even more. I mean, the line after that list says, just to name a few. And
yeah,
I'm going, good grief, there's 10 there. How few have you opened for?
a lot. I've been at this a while.
No, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really
Who is
cool to be able
the
to say, you've shared the stage with people like that. It's
oh
really neat.
yeah. So let's jump ahead. Let's get into a in the future type of thing.
Okay.
So you are headlining stadiums across America. All right. You're on a huge tour. You're stay yeah, exactly. Keep those fingers crossed. Who would be the lineup opening before you on those stadium tours?
Ooh, tough question. Whew. You know, I've got some artists that I have seen open for other bigger artists recently.
Mhm.
And they were the kind of people that just got you pumped up and ready to go.
Right.
And one of those was Brothers Osborne.
Oh
Brothers
yes.
Osborne, phenomenal group. I think I would choose them because they're rocking, they're cool, they got great songs. I like them. Secondly, maybe somebody like Lauren Elena. She and I are a lot of alike. She's a
Uh-huh.
killer powerhouse vocalist. She's a lot of fun, and she has her music kind of mirrors mine in the fact that it's uplifting,
Right.
kind of a feel good, if you will. She might
Right.
show me out vocally, but she would be cool. She'd be cool. I think they would be some cool openers, possibly. But man,
That
I could probably go on and on about that.
you could do a whole festival full of openers, couldn't you?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And I would be out in the crowd going, woo!
So, who is one act that would like to open for?
Oh, if it was today, sign me up for a Miranda Lambert tour. Put me on in front of her or Eric Church. I'll take either of those. You can
Oh
put me in front
wow,
of either of those. Those are
those
my
are
people.
those are good ones. I'm big fans of both.
For sure.
Um, Now you got into making music videos after your first two albums, and you really enjoyed that. Apparently, you really like doing the videos. Is it as much fun doing the videos? And this is probably a dumb question, but the only dumb one's the one you don't ask.
Right.
Is it as fun making the videos as it is doing a song live?
Do you know that I put on a really good face for music videos? It's not fun at all for me. It is a lot of work to make a music video. When you get it all said and done, you're like, okay, that was good. But it takes a lot of preparation and a lot of grueling hours to make them. So they might be fun for other people, but they are work for me. So I'll pick live any day over the music video.
That's that's pretty good. And I mean, you got success by claiming top five at the the ICMA awards, and even you got to be picked by Great American Country, CMT, the Country Network. I mean, those are pretty big accolades there.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for noticing. Appreciate it. Yeah. It feels good to have that success when you do work hard at those videos, and just to have that recognition and someone saying, "Hey, we see you. We see what you're doing." It is very rewarding.
Right. So you got a new single out, and tell me where did the inspiration for the song come from?
The song's called Anybody But Me. And I guess the inspiration really behind it is we as human beings, and women especially, we try to be so many other things that maybe are not who we truly are. We try to put ourselves up on a pedestal. We try to set these expectations for ourselves that are just unrealistic. And sometimes you just have to break it down and be like, hey, I am not perfect. I am not what you think I am. I am just me, and that's okay. It's just kind of a self-acceptance song. And in a way, it was one that I wrote to myself, because I know you've probably heard it a million times, but sometimes they want a cookie cutter country artist. Oh, this is what you should be as a female artist.
Right.
That's not what I am. I'm completely different. I'm completely different than that cookie cutter thing that you want me to be. So this is me, like it or leave it kind of thing. But for me, I'm going to accept that, and that's gonna be okay, because I can't be anybody else but myself. So it's just kind of like a little empowering, self-motivational song that I wrote one day, and it turned out to be something that I'm really proud of, and really hope that when someone else hears it, they can feel okay with being who they are.
Right.
Being proud of it.
Well, and the song itself, it's got a little bit of an edge to it. It's one of those that you're definitely going to get folks pumped up with. So
Yeah.
that's a great thing. And I want to play that real quick. And before we do that, I got to pay the bills. So I do want to let you know that b4Nashville is being brought to you by Go-Go Tuners. They're the go-to tuners for professional musicians, amateur musicians. They make tuning a guitar so easy, even I can do it, and I cannot play a guitar, let alone tune one. So it's they have this green you're in, red you're out technology, and if you understand the stoplight, you're good to go. The only thing they don't have is yellow, so it doesn't mean, yeah, maybe it's in. You're either in or you're out. So be sure to check them out at gogotuners.com. So here's Hannah Belle, and this is her latest single. It's called Anybody But Me. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, because I had to double check. I had it in my head, but with everything going on, things had just kind of bailed out on my head. And by the way, I will say this. Clay Harper has messaged and said that he would open for you and could pump the crowd up for you.
All right,
So-
I'll have to check you out.
So, and my buddy Skip Clark's on here. I want to say hi to Skip. If you haven't seen Skip, the Skip Happens podcast, be sure to check that out as well. But let's get to Hannah. This is Hannah Belle and Anybody But Me.
Never been the type of girl to say how I feel. I just hold it all in, yeah, that's how I deal. But what's going on inside this head, you never can tell. I might smile and laugh on the outside, but on the inside I wanna yell. I'm a little bit messed up, I'm a little bit broken down, yeah. I might not turn out to who you thought I'd be. I'm a little bit reckless, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. But I can't be anybody but me. Anybody but me. I thought I'd be on top of the world by the time I was 18. Had it all planned out step by step, following my dreams. And then here you come around, then I knew I would have to change. And when the roads got rough and the times got tough, I went back to my old ways. Cause I'm a little bit messed up, I'm a little bit broken down. Yeah, I might not turn out to who you thought I'd be. I'm a little bit reckless, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I can't be anybody but me, anybody but me. I look in the mirror and sometimes I don't like what I see. But inside I can hear us saying, just be who you are. You are beautiful. But I'm a little bit messed up, I'm a little bit broken down. Yeah, I might not turn out to who you thought I'd be. Oh, I'm a little bit reckless, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. And I can't be anybody but me. Cause I'm a little bit messed up, I'm a little bit broken down. Yeah, I might not turn out to who you thought I'd be. Oh, I'm a little bit reckless, and I wear my heart on my sleeve. But I can't be anybody but me, anybody but me. Anybody but me. No, I won't be anybody. No, I won't be anybody. No, I won't be anybody. Anybody but me. Anybody but me.
All right, that's Hannah Belle, Anybody But Me. And I got to say this, there was a couple of times I was really waiting on you to cut loose because all of a sudden you got a little bit of a growl in your voice. And I thought, oh my, this is about to split wide open.
I had to hold it back, hold it
Yeah.
back. Stay country.
That's right. That's right. Well, sometimes you got to hold it back a little bit just to give them a little bit of excitement and anticipation of what's to come.
It gets a little rougher on the live show, don't you worry.
Well, we'll have to be sure to check out the live show. Now, when you were right after CMA Fest, actually you were at CMA Fest, and I'm not trying to bring down the mood or anything, but I do want to just kind of talk about this for a minute. You got out of music for a while because something went terribly wrong in your life, and it had to do with your dad, who you'd mentioned earlier. He's a big influence in your life, and I mean, can you share a little bit about that with us?
Oh, for sure. And you brought it up, just like I mentioned earlier with CMA Fest. Any time that there was a down moment, my dad would always be out there pulling people in. Hey, y'all come meet Hannah Belle. Y'all come meet Hannah Belle. Even if they didn't want to meet me, they were coming in to meet me. And the last year that we were at CMA Fest, I noticed my dad was sitting down a lot. He was not his usual self. He was really tired, really quiet. And I noticed then that something was wrong. And that was in June. Well, we found out later that June or July that he had been diagnosed with cancer. And it was B-cell lymphoma, and it was stage 3 or 4. I can't remember. But anyway, the doctors did not give him very much hope. It was in the base of his tongue, which my dad's a preacher. He's a singer. And so you want to talk about something that really affected him. It was the base of his tongue, went down into his esophagus, stomach, even in his bones. It was a lot. And this was just a year after recovering from open heart surgery. And so it stopped us because we were not sure what was going to happen, how we were going to move forward. As I've said, my dad, he's the backbone of a lot of things that I do, everything that I do basically. And so, yeah, music was like, because all that mattered at that moment was getting him well. And we had just released my EP, Catch Her If You Can. And so promotion on it stopped. We didn't release any more music. We focused mostly on him getting well. And he had treatments at MD Anderson in Texas, and it's gone. He's 2 years cancer free. And so we are back on it now. He just actually went this last in January for his checkup, and he is still in remission and just doing as good as he can be right now. And so the wheels kind of started turning last year after his first checkup when we found that he was cancer free. We kind of got back and released a single last May and then put out another single, and then here we are with our third one. And so the wheels have been turning, but after stopping for so long, your name gets put on the back burner. Everybody kind of forgets who you are. So all that progress and momentum that we had going completely stopped. It's like we're starting all over. And so I was like, oh, Hannah Belle, yeah, I remember you. You were from a long time ago, huh? I'm like, well, it was just a couple of years, but I'm back.
It's amazing how 2 or 3 years turns into a long time ago nowadays.
Yep. Isn't that crazy? But praise the Lord, he's healthy and well. And we are chasing that dream again, trying to get it back on the rails.
That is awesome. Our continued prayers going out to your dad, and that everything just keeps going like it's going, get that forward momentum going, and for your career as well, just trying to get back to the momentum you had, and it, I mean, I can imagine that would be hard. I've not been in your shoes, so I can't say that's absolutely difficult, but I can imagine, because here you are at a cusp in your life where you are going up a huge mountain. Like you said earlier, you're a small fish in a huge pond, and you're finally starting to get a little bit of upstream momentum as you're swimming along here, and then bam. But I commend you for taking care of the family, making sure that everything was good, and that just is a testament to your mom and your dad and your whole family, as to the family knit of how tight it is.
Exactly. It was hard, but it helped me to kind of refocus my priorities. And I did a lot of songwriting during that time. Now, not all those songs you'll hear, but it was a way for me to kind of channel all my emotions at that time. And a lot of the songs that you're hearing coming out, like Anybody But Me and things like that, were songs that were written during that time period of just kind of refocusing and revamping who I was and what I believed in and what, was most important to me.
Right. Well, that's great. And I'm glad to see you're back in there and starting to break that tide a little bit, with the swimming. You'll get there again, that's for sure. So
just keep swimming.
That's right. That's right. Just keep on keeping on. So we're going to have a little fun now. I got a little something I like to do, and I'm going to shift gears and go into that real quick and talk about something. So let's just do a little thing right here, and then we'll jump right into it. All right?
All right.
So this is the segment of the show I like to call I Heard a Rumor. And I know it's not country, but I just like the intro. I think it sounds pretty cool,
Yeah, I think it's cute.
But when I was reading your bio, here's one thing that caught my eye, that about how deep music runs in your family, because you have traced some of your family heritage back to a couple of major country artists from the last 30, 40, 50 years. One of those is Jerry Lee Lewis. The other is Mickey Gilley.
I don't know if I should claim Jerry Lee.
I don't know that anybody claims Jerry Lee, to be honest with you.
But it is true. On my dad's side of the family, it's not that far back, honestly. It's just a few sets of cousins back that you can find. They were both cousins. But you can find that my family runs into them. Now, don't let me get all family tree on you, but it is true. And maybe that's where the DNA comes in. Who knows? You could sit down with my great Aunt Shirley. She's a piano player.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, right? And she can't read a lick of music, but boy, you say, all right, Aunt, let's play. And she will play you anything you want. It's just, it is in the family. Now, my mama's musical as well, but no, my mama's family is musical as well, I should say, but no celebrities on that side.
Okay. So
cool rumor though, right?
Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. I love the story about Aunt Shirley. I'll have to remember that, and the fact that she's just a play it by ear kind of person, I guess.
Yeah, and it's not just like a do 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 do. It's all over the place. You know, it is all over. I'm like, where do you find that key? Whoa, okay.
And that she's on Dad's side of the family.
On Dad's side of the family,
Okay.
yep. The musical
Jerry,
side.
we trickled down a little bit to her.
Yes, we could.
That's great. So I always like to know, because I listen to music every day. Every day. Let me tell you, I listen to so much music, but I always like to know what the artists that I interview are listening to. And so I do this little thing. It's called the iPhone Top 10. Just want to know kind of what songs you are absorbing right now. So what are your top 10 songs that you're listening to? You can give them the song title, the artist, however you want to deal with that.
Okay, let's see. Top 10. Right now, I've really been digging Chris Stapleton's new album.
Mm-hmm.
Loving. John Fogerty wrote this one now, but Joy of My Life, super great song. And don't even get me started on the dog song, Maggie song, because that'll make me cry. But really digging on that album, and that's probably 10 songs right there that we could go through. Secondly, Eric Church, he's putting out that triple album, I should say, Heart and Soul. And all of the singles that he's been releasing, they're like Carolina Eric style, and I'm really enjoying that as well. And then you can't get me away from, it's not new, but Maren Morris's album.
Mm-hmm.
The Girl album, I listen to it a lot, and Miranda Lambert's also. So anytime I have time to listen to music, those are some of the things that are on my top 10. But you can always throw it back to an Eagles song for me too. I was looking at my top 25, and there's as many Eagles songs in my top 25 as there are Maren Morris. So, you know.
Forget the songs and just name the albums, right?
Yeah, right? That's all we need. One of these nights. There it is.
There you go. There you go. I'm a huge Eagles fan. I love those guys, man.
Me too. They're so good.
And even when Vince Gill stepped in after Glenn Fry passed away, but even then, they still sounded good. I heard a concert of them on the radio, and I think it was Glenn's son was in there and Vince Gill, and I was just like, man, this is just shy of sounding like the Eagles from the 70s.
They're phenomenal. I saw them live in New Orleans with Vince and with Glenn's son, and I was blown away. I was like, take me back to the 70s and let me be a teenage girl, because I would be on the front row.
Yeah, they're yelling and hooping and hollering, right?
Yes, they're so good. So yeah, I know that probably wasn't 10 songs, but you could pick a few from each of those and make 10. There we go.
That's all right. We can come up with 10. That is absolutely no problem. So as life is going on and things are happening for you right now, what do you envision for your future, say the next, let's just make it easy, the next 2 years? Usually I ask for 5, but with COVID, most people don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, you know.
Right.
So,
and we can't presume what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
We can say, Lord's willing, tomorrow might happen. Right. But if the Lord's willing, I would like to continue to release what I've got going on, a couple songs in my back pocket. I would like to move forward and make this a full-time gig for me. It's not a full-time gig for me as of right now. I'm an educator as well, and teach school on the daily, but I would really, really like to make music what I do full time. But the number one thing that I'd like to see in the next couple years is, even if it's not a full time thing for me, that when I do release a song, when I do put it out there, that someone somewhere relates to it. I don't care if it's being played on radio. Maybe they pick it up off of YouTube. Who cares? But the whole goal of releasing music is to relate to others and to connect with people. And so in the next 2 years, hopefully my songs will connect with somebody over time. And that's the ultimate goal, even if I'm not making a living out of it.
Right.
I just hope to be able to continue to release music and touch people with it.
I think one of the great things about country music is the fact that it is so relatable to so many people. It doesn't matter what the song is, you know. It could be Eric Church Monsters. It could be Chris Stapleton Starting Over. It could be, you know, Miranda Lambert, Bluebird. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some line or something in that song that somebody goes, you know, I feel that.
Yeah.
You know, I can relate to that. And I think that is one of the most awesome things about country music, as opposed to most other genres, is that it's all about I mean, it's about the fans. It's about people, you know, getting their feel on, so to speak. And it does that on every song. And I think that's awesome.
That's the goal. That is the goal. So if I can continue to do that, then I'll be a happy girl.
All right. Well, here's another one of these hypothetical questions, and you'll find out I'm a very hypothetical guy a lot of times when it comes to questions.
Okay. All right.
But you're on a boat, and the boat starts to sink, and you can get off the boat. You can get on the lifeboat. There's plenty of room for you to get on, and the captain tells everybody you can take one thing with you. What is the one thing that you're going to take with you on that lifeboat?
One thing that I would take with me would probably be, okay, does this exclude family?
Yeah. It's everybody's able to get off, so everybody can take
Okay,
one
okay.
thing. So, yeah.
I guess I'd probably grab my guitar. Is that cliche?
Well, honestly, it's not, and I think because most people are afraid it's going to be cliche. So, but
Yeah.
I mean, you're an artist. That's your, you know, your livelihood. Hopefully, one day. So you got to have it.
Yeah, you could say cell phone. You could say, you know, any of those other things.
Mhm.
But with a guitar, you can continue to play. You can continue to create.
Mhm.
Hey, it might float. We could burn it in a fire if we got on a deserted island. You know, so many life resources there.
Well, the best thing about it, you take your guitar, you know, and you're on a deserted island. You've got a very captive audience from everybody that got off the boat.
Yep. So I'd take my guitar, cliche as it sounds. I would.
Oh, so another one of my little hypothetical things that, and I love asking this question. You can have dinner with one artist from the past, and who would that artist be, and what would the conversation be centered around?
One artist from the past. Oh gosh. This is tough. Okay. There's so many. There's so many. Charlie Daniels. Charlie Daniels. The conversation would be centered around, how did you do it? I mean, how were you just so entertaining 24/7? I mean, the guy was a songwriter. He was a musician. He was an entertainer. Just give me some of the tips on entertaining people for as long as he did and for as well as he did it.
Right.
Yeah, I think that would be it. And we'd probably talk a little bit about our faith too. So I think that'd be cool.
That's very good. Charlie's a great guy. I had the opportunity to interview him before he passed, and never got to meet him, but I did get to interview him. So that was pretty awesome.
Yes, that is.
Another one of those these questions that I really like to put out there is, well, I said that and then I didn't write it down, so I have totally forgotten it. Hang on. I have too many questions. I can't keep up
Too
with
many
all of them.
hypotheticals. rules.
Yes, exactly. Maybe I should come off of those a little bit. What takes you the longest to get ready when you're getting ready for a show?
Making a set list. Oh man, making a set list is tough. I've written so many songs now, and then I love to cover so many other songs, and it's like, oh, you only have an hour and a half. How are you going to fit all these songs in an hour and a half? Tough, man. It's not the makeup, it's not the hair. It is the set list.
Wow. Now, when you do a show, it brings up another question in my mind. Percentage wise, do you do like 60 of your originals, 40% covers? Are you doing 80% original, 20%, or is it all original music? How do your shows work?
No, it's a good, I like how you said about 60-40. That's probably
Yeah.
it. Maybe 65-35, but I do a lot of my original stuff. I do. And I
Right.
throw in a lot of 90s country. We do a few Jody Messina songs, a few Shania, Terry Clark stuff. We throw in some Eagles, a little Marshall Tucker band, and so it's a mix. I love, there's just so many songs that I love. And it's fun to play my songs, but it's also fun to play a few of those songs that inspired me when I was growing up. And so, yeah, I'd say probably 65% originals, maybe 70-30. Yeah.
Okay. So
70-30.
with that comes another one of these questions, like about what is your favorite cover to play on stage?
Ooh, favorite cover. It's either going to be, we just added this one recently, and we have so much fun. We play Can't You See by the Marshall Tucker Band. It's so good. Love that song. And then we also do If You're Not In It for Love by Shania Twain. That one's a lot of fun. And Baggage Claim by Miranda Lambert. So, yeah, those are rocking songs, and they're a ton of fun. So I couldn't pick one. Sorry.
That's all right. No, that's perfectly fine. And the interesting thing is, I've had a lot of females tell me that they do Miranda Baggage Claim, and I'm not knocking that because I think it's a great song. Anything Miranda could sing the phone book, and I'd be a happy camper.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got Gunpowder and Lead, you got Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, you've got Kerosene, all those songs. But all the females, I won't say all of them, a lot of the females gravitate to doing Baggage Claim.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something I don't know about that song, or is it just it's kind of a female empowerment song, which 90% of her music is.
Yeah. I think that it's groovy. I think it's just got a groove to it. And you can just dance on stage, and you can sing your heart out. It's just fun. And people in the crowd are singing with you. Yeah, it's just a fun one. I think that's why I like it, at least, because I feel like it's a groovy little tune. We have a lot of fun with it. So maybe that's it. Maybe it's just everybody feels the groove.
That could be. Maybe that's what I've been missing on it, is just not looking at it that way. I mean, it's one of my wife's favorite Miranda songs. And so, I guess it's just something about connecting with females, which there again, you go back to connecting with folks through the music.
Exactly.
So, where can listeners find you, if like on social media and stuff like that? How do they find you, follow you, things like that? What platforms, the handle? I mean, I've got one of your handles here. I don't know if that's the same handle across all of your socials or not.
That's Instagram and Twitter right there. Hannah Belle 322. You can find me Instagram and Twitter. On Facebook, if you just look up Hannah Belle Music, I believe is what it is, facebook.com/Hannah Belle Music. You'll find me there. YouTube, I think, is just Hannah Belle 22. Somebody had 322 already. Man. And so I had to go with the 22 there. But also, I have all of those links. If you go to my website, you can just go to hannah-belle.com, and you can find all of my links there, especially, and links to music too. If if you're looking for Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, whatever, you can find all of that right there on my website. So just hannah-belle.com, and you can get connected. Google me. You'll find me.
There you go. That's the American way. Google it.
Google me.
Well, Hannah, you have been a joy. You've been so understanding tonight. I know we've had some issues, but I really appreciate you just being understanding and so laid back. I mean, I got to honestly say, you're one of the most fun interviews that I've had to date, and I've been doing this since about June, and I've interviewed a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Just touch my heartstrings. Appreciate it. I love it.
You understand the technology and the lack of knowledge of technology from a male point of view.
Hey, if you were going to have problems, I've had a million of them. So, welcome to my world. Maybe I just rubbed off on you.
Well, I go through a checklist that says, check this, check that. Well, and I didn't think I needed to check it because I hadn't had an issue until now.
That's what happens when you think you're not going to have an issue.
Right. But again, it goes back to that anticipation. People were waiting for you to get on, and we just made them wait a little longer, and then it's like they're not going to go anywhere. So it's all it's all dragging them along, as my friends in radio say. We're just dragging them along. So be sure to check out Hannah Belle. Check out her music. It's on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google, Pandora, all that stuff.
Yep.
And be sure to follow her on her social media. Find out what she's got going on when more music's coming out. And that's definitely something I'm going to be watching for, is more of her music. I checked out your Spotify list today and was listening to different songs. And you just have, like you said, you just got that 90s feel to you, just that throwback. And it's so good. And, it just about made me want to find my cowboy hat and put it on. And
that's what I'm talking about.
I didn't have a loud cowboy shirt on today or anything like that. But if I I'd have had my cowboy hat on, and I'd have felt right at home.
So, for sure. That's what we're going for. Yeah. I love it.
So when you listen to Hannah's music, you got to do it with a Garth Brooks type shirt and a cowboy hat, and it'll make you feel right at home. It doesn't matter what anybody says. You're right where you ought to be.
I love it.
All right. Well, Hannah, thanks a lot for coming back on. And if you're listening to the podcast or you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch, then do me a big favor. Hit subscribe. You can also go to Apple iTunes. You can go to Spotify. You can go to Google. Everywhere you can find Hannah, you can find the podcast. And this podcast will be put up in an audio version later on. I'll have to do some tweaking on it after some of the things that happen, but we'll get it worked out. And you can check it all out there and have it for future listening, so to speak. So give us a thumbs up and a review and all that good stuff. And do the same for Hannah on her music and let her know how much you appreciate it. And if she's coming to your area, by all means, get out and go listen live, And,
that's important, yes.
It is. It's very important right now, especially. So get out and hear Hannah live. Hannah, again, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on with me tonight and taking time out and, again, being so understanding.
Yes, and thank you for inviting me and supporting people like myself. It's the people like you that help us get our names out there. So thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. So we will we'll keep watching for you, and have yourself a great evening.
You too.
All righty. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.